Okay, so the full trailer for Primitive War is finally out. Of course, I just uploaded my reaction to it, and now obviously I want to talk about my overall thoughts about the project. There was a lot of very interesting things I saw in this. Of course, the year is 1969 or 68, sorry, and we will be following Baker here. He doesn't have his mask like he does in the book, unfortunately, which of course is like a huge part of his character. So that kind of lets me know that they're probably gonna, not have that included in the rest of the story. But obviously, the highlight for many people who are watching this trailer it's probably the creatures, even though the characters are a huge reason of why I thought that book was as good as it was. But let's get into some of these creatures that we see right here. So, like, we see some quick Utah Raptors running there. I quite like the way that they look. I like the way that their feathers look. I like how they kind of blend into the jungle environment. The legs also seem to be lacking some feathers, and they have the sort of green coloration that they actually did have in the book, which I thought was pretty cool. It's something that helped them camouflage. We get a great look at the Utah Raptor right here. Let me see if I can get a better frame of that. Yeah, like right there, you can like kind of see the light kind of reflecting in the animal's eye, which I think is really cool. It's, from what we can tell, it's a pretty decent Utah Raptor look. It's not, not completely accurate or anything like that. There are some things about it that are not too entirely accurate, like the amount of teeth that it has in its mouth and how needle-like those teeth are. I assume this fella's an Apatosaurus, which certainly looks like the Jurassic World Apatosaurus, which I think is interesting, of course. Which can also be said about the T-Rex here. A lot of this does scream Jurassic Park T-Rex, but it doesn't have nearly as boxy of a snout, though. I will say that. The snout is not nearly as boxy as it is in Jurassic Park, and of course it does have like some filamentous quills or fluff up here. The colors also seem pretty interesting, and of course it does have lips, but it has like more of a pronounced eyebrow ridge rather than a proper lacrimal crest or horn. So it's not entirely accurate. There are some elements about this that are more like Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, more so than like accuracy. And the reason why I'm talking about accuracy is because for the most part in the books, there was like a huge, like a lot of the animals that were present were portrayed as pretty accurate, and the bestiary kind of shows that as well. So that's why I'm kind of like bringing that up for something like this. So it's kind of like a blend of both of those things. It does have some bulk to it. I like the way that its tail looks. It's certainly an interesting creature, that's for sure, in terms of its overall design. We get a lot more looks at the Quetzalcoatlus and these fellas, which I assume those might be the Deinonychus. They're smaller than the Utah Raptors. Either that or they're young Utah Raptors, which I'm sure is also possible because they do have like the same type of green coloration as the Utah Raptors. So that's possible. Of course, we also have this hadrosaur herd right here. I'm terrible with lambeosaurines, at least the ones that have similar crest structures. So I can't tell if this is like Centausaurus or if it's Corythosaurus, but they look pretty decent, really. I quite like the way that they look, and it kind of seems like, yeah, some of them don't have crests. So I wonder if this is like a mixture of two different herds, or if it's like a mixed or like sexual dimorphism. Like maybe, of course, the ones with crests have like brighter colors overall. So maybe they're like males or females, and the other ones are the opposite of that. It's cool that they're here, though. I don't remember there really being any hadrosaurs in the books. That's kind of interesting. Then we get right here. We get a shot of the T-Rex, of course. Still looks pretty, like, especially when you look at it at first glance, it really does look like the Jurassic Park T-Rex, like especially with that shape right there. But I do appreciate the fact that there are lips present on the animal, and I do appreciate that like the snout is a little bit thinner and stuff like that. It is distinct in a few ways, and I do like the way that the colors look. There's these fellas. I assume these are the Deinonychus. They seem just about the right size, and there's gonna be like a whole bunch of them kind of like going after the vulture squad. They seem to have pretty cool colors in their feathers, though. We get another look at Cyclops right here. Oh yeah, here's a good look at them. Yeah, so I assume these are the Deinonychus. I like the way that their feathers look. Their feathers look pretty cool. They also do have lips as well. They seem to have some pretty good traits about them. And I don't know what's going to happen to you, man. It's probably not going to end up pretty good. And then yeah, we get another look at Cyclops right here. Cyclops in the book was basically like the main Utah raptor, had a K-bar knife stabbed right into his eye, hence the name Cyclops. So it's still really cool to see him right here. That's a Quetzalcoatlus if I've ever seen one. I'm glad that it seems like we're really getting a whole sequence dedicated to Quetzalcoatlus in this, especially with them on the ground, because that's where I think Azdarchids would be the most terrifying, is like when they're running around on the ground and everything. I like the way that this looks. It actually matches up pretty well. It's got the pycnofibers, aka the little feathers right here, because they're in a lot of ways that structurally they're basically feathers. Colors look really cool up here too. The long beak. I wonder if they're gonna have like the spiked tongue that they had in the book, where it's like they'd wrap around like people's arms and they'd rip them off and stuff like that. I assume they will. That seems kind of like on brand for this sort of R-rated movie, I suppose. It opened its mouth. I think I see a long tongue. It doesn't look nearly as spiky as in the bestiary though, so I guess we'll see. We'll see. And then, yeah, I believe this would be the Deinonychus. I might know what part of the book this is adapting. So in that case, I won't say anything because potential spoilers. So yeah, that is a shot and a half right there. That T-Rex, that poor person right there. That's going to be pretty interesting to see. And yeah, of course, it is rated R. We're going to be seeing quite a bit of violence in this movie. So that is one thing to take note. There we go. That's a pretty good look at the Utah Raptors right there. I like them. I really don't think that, like in the previous trailer, I don't think that the angle we were looking at them was really the most flattering in terms of the way that their skulls looked and everything. Definitely not terrible Utah Raptor designs. In fact, again, I do quite like them. Especially this one, the way that this one looks right here. Seems like it has a pretty decent shape about it that really does remind me of Utah Raptor. More Quetzalcoatlus. That's going to be so cool. Look at them. Look at them. That's so cool. Then Utah Raptor inside, and you can see the green coloration pretty well right there. So that's pretty cool. That's been transferred over because I think the green was pretty cool. Look at these Triceratops. They don't look bad from what we can see right here. They don't look terrible. Their epicypitals might be a little bit too pronounced right here, which is not really, once Triceratops ages, the epicypitals, they become a lot more like reduced and a lot more fused to the frill. Still, I think they're gonna be pretty cool. That's a cool shot right there. That's a Utah Raptor. My face is a little bit in the way. That is a Utah Raptor jumping right there. If I've ever seen one, that's pretty cool. I like that. That's a pretty nice shot of the T-Rex right there too. Again, it does have all of its bulk present, and lips are present as well, which is something that I do think is pretty cool. Let me get my face out of the way again. Look at it staring at you. But yeah, the face is I just realized that this one does have a little bit more of a pronounced nasal ridge, which is kind of a little bit more similar to the Jurassic Park T-Rex. But the hands seem to be facing the proper way, which is always good. I always like seeing that. So yeah, it is pretty similar to Jurassic Park's. Ooh, that had to have been... Yikes. It's coming right for you. You're dead. And this is pretty interesting. Now, that kind of bugs me with the Triceratops. Its tail is too long right there. Ceratopsians did have relatively short tails. So that is kind of like Jurassic Park's, I suppose. We have another hadrosaur right here. Oh! Is that a Margosaurus? I think that might be a Margosaurus. I think a Margosaurus is going to be in this thing. And it's correct, too. Recent studies of a Margosaurus showed that those type of spines that it had extending from its neck vertebrae would have been like covered in a sort of soft tissue, kind of like a pair of sails right here. That's cool. That's cool. Tail's pretty thin, but not, still good designs. I'm not like really tearing them down. I still do like them. The tail does bug me of Triceratops, and that's just because I really like ceratopsians, and I like the fact that they have relatively short tails. I think it's really funny because like a tail this size, that makes sense. That makes sense. But Triceratops decided to make something that didn't make sense, and had a relatively short tail. So that's basically what I'm saying with that. And I believe, again, that these are Apatosaurus or Brontosaurus, one of those. Again, they do look like the Jurassic Parks. They're pretty similar. Huge highlight for me right here is this. This is a great Spinosaurus design from what I can tell. Kind of like, well, no, really, it's pretty dang good. I can't the skull shape actually seems to be pretty good. Skull shape might still be a little bit more similar to a Baryonyx, but It's got like the proper tail. From what I can tell, the legs are the proper length. The head, like the rest of the head looks pretty good. The neck looks pretty good. And the sail, I think, looks really good as well. And the green really does kind of remind me of Prehistoric Kingdom's Spinosaurus. That's a real, and they're also lying down properly as well, for the most part. Maybe, I don't know if it'd be able to fold its arms like this, and it looks like there might be a like more pronation than what would be possible. But other than that, that's cool. And yeah, it does seem like the Spinosaurus. Oh, and the tail, paddle tail, right? The paddle tail is that's correct. This is, that's great job. You guys did fantastic on the Spinosaurus. Just another thing that adds to the year of the Spinosaurus. Of course, I called we saw the Spinosaurus in the first trailer. A lot of people told me that it was Caprasuchus, and I know why they said that, because Caprasuchus was in the book, but it definitely wasn't a Caprasuchus skull. I believe that it's been stated since then that the Spinosaurus will be replacing the Caprasuchus in the book, which, yeah, that is a little bit unfortunate, but... and then we got 2 Tyrannosaurs. I assume it's going to be the mother and the father. There's a male and female T-Rex in the book. There's also like some really cool shots in here of like the dromaeosaurs dragging them off into the brush. That's something I really liked about the book, is that they were silent animals that a lot of times you wouldn't even know that they were near you until they would drag you into the bush. And I hope that's something that we do see in the movie. Okay, yeah, and I missed this shot right here. Look at all those Quetzalcoatluses. You guys are a little bit too nonchalant about the amount of Quetzalcoatluses right here. Those are giraffe-sized storks right there. You guys should be a little bit more freaked out right now. I don't know what they're doing. What are they doing, actually?
The mission is to get my men home. No.
Yeah, I don't know why they're going near them. Obviously, we'll find out in the movie, but that's so sick, though. Look at them all.
My men home.
They look great, too, and they do have the crest. I didn't mention the crest before. No, they look good. They look good. There's a lot of things to love about this trailer. I mean, yeah. I have been looking forward to this movie, and I'm glad that we did get the full trailer. I'm pretty happy overall. I'm pretty excited. Obviously, I talked about accuracy a lot. Bloop. I talked about accuracy a lot in this, but obviously accuracy is not required to make a good movie. There's a lot of projects that I love that are dinosaur related that don't even have accurate dinosaurs. It's just the way that my mind goes. I do really like paleo accurate animals, so it's something that I do often look for. And if I see something that's a little bit more accurate, I'll point it out. Like a lot of that Spinosaurus was pretty accurate. I'll point out some of the things that are a little bit more accurate for T-Rex, or highly suspected to be a little bit more accurate, or I'll point out things like feathers and stuff like that. I like the way that these guys look. I do. Like, there is some Jurassic Park, like some things that remind me of Jurassic Park and World in this, which kind of bugs me a little bit, because I do want other franchises that are a bit separate from Jurassic Park. And when you have things like that kind of make it similar to Jurassic Park, then you the comparisons do start getting made. And I don't really want too many comparisons made in that sort of way, I suppose. Generally speaking, though, I'm really hyped for this movie. I was really hyped when I saw this trailer, and I'm really hyped going through the trailer again. There's a lot of really cool stuff in this. I do already have my tickets. It's a pretty limited release overall. I only a few theaters, at least in the US, do have it, and I have to go to the next city over from where I live to actually go and watch it. So, it's I don't expect it to make a lot of money in the box office. It's not gonna be anything crazy, but I do want this to do good. I do think that we need more franchises other than the Jurassic franchise out there. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna keep talking about this, because this was pretty dang cool. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have an awesome day.